Welcome to this next installment of the For Health's Sake series. My name is Charles Alessi, and I've got the opportunity to have a conversation today with Donna Henderson, who's the international lead for digital health for the government of Scotland, but also the president of ETEL, which is the European Health Telematics Association. Welcome, Donna. It's a pleasure to see you.
Always a pleasure to see you as well, Charles. Thank you.
Yes, we go back a few years. So let me start by asking you to describe really your role within the government of Scotland, because you are the person for international connections around digital health for Scotland, which of course has been doing an awful lot in this space.
Well, I'm one of a small team, so I'm not necessarily the person, Charles, but I certainly am very proud to be part of the international engagement team within the Digital Health and Care Directorate. So yeah, so we're a small team, but we hopefully pack a hefty punch. Our real role is to be outward facing and really make sure that Scotland's well connected with the digital health and care agenda. Internationally, so looking at best practice elsewhere and trying to make sure that we're learning from that in Scotland, and equally that we're sharing what we're doing and our lessons learned. We're very keen to look for collaboration with other regions and countries, and particularly in light of Brexit. You know, we're very keen to make sure that everybody's aware that Scotland's very much an international player. And we're also very, very interested in research and innovation and making sure that we're, you know, kind of at the cutting edge of what's going to be coming online and on the horizon in the years to come. Good.
I mean, that gives a sense of what that role entails. And it fits, in my view, perfectly well with your other role as president of ETEL, because I mean, ETEL is the great exchange, isn't it? It's the place where people come to connect. And your role as president actually is very complementary to that in many respects. But I want to talk to you more specifically about ETEL, and really more specifically about one of the big projects you are doing, which is the Scirocco exchange. This has been going on for quite a few years, hasn't it?
Yeah, well, ETEL is, as you know, a kind of multidisciplinary stakeholder platform. So, you know, the members of ETEL are organizations and individuals that are interested in all aspects, really, of digital health and care. And ETEL has indeed been a partner in the Scirocco Exchange project, which the Scottish Government was coordinator of. It was under the old Horizon 2020 programme.
Yeah.
Indeed, it's just finished. It concluded last year. But that project developed a self-assessment tool for regions and organisations to self-assess the maturity of integrated care in their own context, and to identify areas where they could actually try and improve on their kind of strategy and planning around the implementation of integrated care. So ETEL was a key partner in that in that project.
Now, this is really quite important, because what you've described is something which I think all of us in Europe really need. We all understand integrated care, depending on how one describes integration, but really ensuring that various aspects that constitute the delivery of health and care to individuals are connected and actually are contiguous. And the fact that we have a tool which enables one to assess the maturity of that process, and also potentially the gaps that exist or the places where work needs to improve in that process, is of enormous importance. And now this project has ceased, you said. So I'm sure, I hope that we're seeing the benefits of this project in various different iterations, because something as valuable as this can't be allowed just to stop.
No, indeed not. And it's, to be fair, we see it as a little bit of our baby. Clearly, we were just one partner in the two projects that kind of developed the tool. But we've very much seen, Scottish Government have very much seen that we don't want that legacy to wither away. We've seen that before with projects where, you know, there's not a tangible outcome from them. So we have we're babysitting, we're hosting the tool. And we'll continue to do so until we find perhaps a more suitable home for it. But not only are we babysitting it and hosting it, we're actually continuing to support its use. So for instance, our colleagues in Flanders are using it right across all their new primary care systems.
That's exactly what I hope to hear.
Yep.
Wonderful.
Yep.
That's exactly.
And we're working with the Finnish government just now to actually adapt it for their use, and they intend to use it in their new health and care reform. So they're looking for quite a significant program of reform that they hope to use the tool as part of that work. So we're still very much making it available. Yeah, we're very keen to support it on an ongoing basis, which is great to see.
Well, I mean, I think this is really of fundamental importance. The fact that we are starting to deploy something which has been born out of a European initiative to actually deploy rather than strategize. This is about deployment. This is about actually making things happen, is of immense value. And I think the more we talk about this, the more we develop these processes, the better it's going to be for all of us, because, you know, we have a way to go in Europe around transforming health and care. We're all in different places, inevitably, but I think there is hope, especially if we're going down a path of actually doing this a little bit more, I wouldn't use the word scientifically, but systematically perhaps. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about. What about transforming healthcare? Are you doing anything else at the moment?
Yes, we're absolutely delighted actually to be one of the work package leaders in the new European Partnership on Transforming Health and Care Systems. So that's an enormous programme. It's being led by the Italian Health Ministry. It kicked off literally last month, or last week, in fact, in Rome. And it's a 7-year programme. It's got something like 85 partners. So pretty much most European regions and countries are involved in it. And the whole purpose of the partnership is really to, promote knowledge exchange and collaboration really between those regions to try and build on what works, because we all recognise that we have the same challenges in terms of our health and care systems and the long-term sustainability of our ability to deliver good quality care for our citizens. So yeah, it's a really exciting new project, very, very ambitious, but one that we're delighted to be right through the thick of.
Well, I think that's really good news, because in essence, it's good to know that there is a place where all of this is being not managed, but at least collated, at least it's brought together in that place. So really to round this up, because of course these conversations are going to continue all the way until we get to the Radica Festival itself in June of this year. What do you think the greatest challenge you have, and what is really stopping you sleeping at night at the moment? In terms, probably nothing, but if there was something which was stopping you sleeping at night in terms of the work you're doing at the moment, in terms of the big problems we're having. I mean, I'm in the United Kingdom, I'm in England at the moment, and clearly we are full of industrial disputes with physicians, with nurses, with physios. So there's a significant issue around workforce here in England. But with you, not only in Scotland, but probably more relevantly with your Airtel hat, what do you feel is the really big issue? I know we have things like licensing for changes, for example, to devices, the new MDR legislation, all that's being kicked into the long grass to a degree, to 2027, 2028, fine. I mean, that's not going to go away. But are there any really big issues which are causing you concern?
I mean, you've just said, Charles, you're living in the UK, you know what the challenges are here at home. We've got real problems with, capacity within our services, as you say, workforce issues as well. So I think those challenges are very, very common across Europe. From the digital health and care perspective, through COVID, we saw huge escalation in use of digital solutions. And interestingly, now that we're kind of in this recovery phase from the pandemic, we're seeing, and we have seen, decline in some areas, decline of use in some areas. So we're really spending quite a bit of time right now in trying to analyze that and looking at what's caused that. A little bit of it is behaviors, we're all guilty of that, where we suddenly start exercising, we get into a good space, and then we slowly revert back to our old form. So a little bit of it is reverting back to old behaviors, and we need to work out how we can manage that, within our workforce. A bit of it is around, real technical challenges around interoperability of systems that we really need to get over. We know what they are, and we need to get on with that. We've been talking about that for a very long time, Charles. And I think the other challenging area is that we're seeing a huge escalation of interest in digital health and care, from big players as well as, SME, small industry players. So there are a lot of new devices, tools, solutions that are on market, and that's quite overwhelming to health and care providers. They don't quite know how to manage that and where to start and how to select the best of the best. So again, I think we need to get better at that. We need to work out how we can manage that, almost a tsunami of availability. How do we select and purchase the best for us? And do we have the skill set within, statutory health and care services to do that? No, we don't actually. So that's a whole new set of skills that we don't quite have yet. And we're not.
I can see all this. I can see all this in two dimensions. One, the fact that you were talking about the explosion of digital health and the slight retrenchment we're going through at the moment. A lot of that, I suggest, is completely predictable, isn't it? You overshoot a little and then you get to the right level. And I think the challenge is to make sure you get to the right level, and the right level isn't back where we started, which is obviously what people's fears are. The second issue is really interesting. And I remember when I was a little boy going into the local shop to buy a shirt, or rather, I didn't go and buy a shirt, but I was told to go in with my mum or whatever to go and buy a shirt. And they had a shirt in one model, which you try on, and it either fits or it doesn't. So there is no debate about which shirt, it's the shirt. But suddenly we're in a situation where there are about 10,000 shirts. And you're going, how the hell do I choose which shirt I want? I don't even know what a shirt's supposed to do anyway, which is to a degree where we are with some of these digital applications, because with a lot of them, we're not quite sure quite what and how far they entail in terms of what they can manage and the implications of that. So I can quite see that. So what you're really saying is we need a great explainer, do we? But it's a real challenge to do that. And I'm going to push back on that a little, because the moment you've done it, you got to start. It is like the fourth bridge. You're going to have to start again from the beginning, because clearly things will have changed during the time you've done it.
I mean, certainly the governance around that whole innovation landscape is really interesting. We're spending a lot of time now in Scotland just trying to create a framework for the management of innovation, but also, the management and adoption of innovation, because we recognise you have to not miss a trick. We can't keep doing what we've been doing forever. We have to change the way that we're working and really maximise the use of these tools that can support the delivery of health and care. But we need to put a proper governance framework around that doesn't stifle innovation, because governance and innovation don't always go together, because innovation is usually that thinking out of the box. And as soon as you think of the word of governance, you're putting a box in, around that. So it's interesting. Charles, before we finish up, and just because I know I'll get shot by my colleagues in Scirocco Exchange, I think I said it was funded under a Horizon 2020 project, and it was not. Oh, wow, how could I make that mistake? It was a health programme funded project. So apologies to all concerned for that error.
So thank you very much, Donna, for the opportunity for us to have the start of many conversations. And I look forward to propping up various tables, which you and I are used to over some time, to really get to the heart of some of these challenges that face us. I think we're in a really good position to address the enormous challenges that face us. And I'm really delighted we'll be continuing this conversation in person soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Charles. So mine, as long as you're referring to us propping up tables and not bars, I'm very happy about that.
You
Just
notice
to clarify,
the language. You notice the language.
I did indeed.
Tables.
I know I'm very much looking forward to the Radical Health Festival. I really hope it lives up to its name. It's very brave to call it radical, and I am looking forward very much to it being radical. So yeah, we're looking forward to Helsinki.
Thank you.